Hi everyone, and welcome to Gwyn Collects. Alright everyone, if you read the title, today's video is a very exciting video. I am finally back with the second installment in my Battle of the Manufacturers series. I did one like years and years ago with Chica, which I'll link up above. And I wanted to do a couple more. I know I hinted at doing them a long time ago, but I feel like now is finally the time. As I get less and less figures and try to like reduce the amount that I'm buying, I find myself trying to think of more creative video ideas so that I can still create figure content without buying figures. And I used to do a lot of like not just hauls on my channel, but I feel like I've kind of lost that in recent years. So I'm really hoping in 2025 I can bring back the just like fun content. I want to roast your guys' collections again. That was such an old video I did, but it was so much fun. So yeah, anyway. Maybe I'll even ask you guys to roast my collection. We'll see. So hopefully that'll happen this year. But in today's video, if you can't see the little head poking here, maybe I'll move that. Yeah, you can still kind of see it. In today's video, I'm going to be doing another Battle of the Manufacturers, but this video is going to be for Asuka figures. So how these Battle of the Manufacturer videos work essentially is that I am going to show a bunch of figures of the same character made by different companies, and I'm going to rank them in 4 categories. So those 4 categories are technical skills, likeness, price, and enjoyment. So those are the 4 categories. And within each category, I kind of have some criteria. So I have my notes right here to make sure I'm staying on track. For the technical skills, that category is mostly on the sculpt, the paint job, how easy it is to assemble the figure, and like the base design and that kind of stuff. So like the real bread and butter of an anime figure. Likeness is more of a subjective category where I just say like, does it look like Asuka? Is it an outfit that she would wear? Is it canon? Is the pose natural for Asuka based on her character? That kind of thing. Price is a pretty easy category. Basically, I'm going to compare their retail prices and then their current aftermarket price from what I could find, and let you guys know if I think that that's good value for money for these figures. And the 4th category is enjoyment. So that one is obviously very subjective, but it focuses on how much do I like the figure? Does it have matching Eva characters? Because I think for a character like Asuka, being able to have a set with Mari or Rei or any of the other characters is like a huge bonus because I think they just look really cool all displayed together. So that's definitely a factor in this. And I'm also going to talk about in the enjoyment category who I would recommend each figure for. So I feel like the different kinds of collectors and who I think would really enjoy the figures that I'm reviewing. So in each category, the first place gets 3 points, second place gets 2, and third place gets 1 point. And then at the end, I'll tally up all of the points from the 4 categories and we'll see who our winner is. So it's a semi-subjective, semi-objective ranking. So, you know, I have an obvious, like I have a favorite out of these figures, but that favorite might not necessarily win. So we'll have to see how things go. So now that you know how exactly I'm going to be doing this Battle of the Manufacturers, let's see our challengers. Alright, so we're going to start with the technical skills category. We're going to start with our first challenger, the Myethos Asuka figure. I just have the figure here because her whole like base assembly and everything is hard to like hold all at once. It'll obviously be in the B-roll as I'm speaking, but it's just easier to hold her like this instead of having like her chair and her base. And that actually factors into my technical discussion. So for this Asuka, I think the sculpt for her is quite nice. It's nothing too crazy. But like there's lots of ruffles in her dress, nice details on her shoes and jewelry. Her hair is quite nicely detailed, has quite a few strands, and yeah, that's kind of it. Like it's a nice sculpt. The chair that she sits on is really, really pretty, and like the flower that kind of goes over is really nice as well. So yeah, sculpt overall, very nice. Paint job, I would say, is quite pretty. The dress to me is a little bit flat. Like I feel like they just painted the dress and then relied on the fact that it's kind of clear near the edge to add dimension to it. I don't know if I love that necessarily. Her hair is shaded really nicely, and I love the use of pearlescent paint for her hair. But I would say overall, like her skin shading and stuff is pretty flat. It's nothing to write home about. And her face is really cute. I wish she had glossy eyes. That's always a bonus for me. I just love glossy eyes on a figure. So that is kind of a disappointment. But overall, paint job is nice, but nothing crazy. As for assembly, this figure is a nightmare to put together. She looks gorgeous when she is put together, but she doesn't everything is just like kind of balanced on the base. It's not really in any pegs. She doesn't attach to the chair in any way, and her like flower thing also doesn't attach to the base in any way, and she just gets jostled around a lot. So that's kind of a downside. I like when things are actually attached to the base. Speaking of the base though, I do think that the base on this figure is really, really unique and beautiful. I love that it says her name, and I love that it kind of looks like glass. It kind of gives me like a greenhouse vibe, and she's very like flowery and gardeny. Same with the matching ray. So I really, really, really love her base and like her chair and everything. I think it's absolutely stunning, and the total composition of this figure I think is beautiful. The next challenger is the Revlove Asuka. I love this figure. She is beautiful. For the sculpt, she is sculpted by Nobuta, who in my opinion is one of the best figure sculptors of all time. She's just stunning, an amazing sculpt. Her hair is phenomenal. Her hair sculpt is just exquisite. Like every strand looks like it's blowing in the wind, it's twisting, it's layered, there's so many different strands. It's gorgeous. It is perfection. Her body sculpt, amazing. Hair, amazing. Just in general, I think she's fantastic. Even like the wrinkles in her plug suit are sculpted, and they're just so well done. The paint job on this figure is beautiful. It can be really hard, I think, to get lost when a figure is wearing all white like this, but the use of like the slight bluey gray shading all throughout just makes it look so good. Like, just beautiful. Her assembly was pretty easy from what I can remember. She just had a metal foot peg that you put in. Pretty simple. I always give bonus points for a metal foot peg because they're just much more secure and, in my opinion, just feel more expensive when you get a figure. Her base is, I think, my favorite base out of all of the Asukas in this challenge. She's just beautiful. I love that like the base has a cross looking piece of rebar. I think that's just so like cool, especially with all of the like religious imagery in Eva. And I feel like the base just looks so Evangelion, so like end of the world, red. I love it. And it just contrasts so well with Asuka. I think the only thing that could make this figure better is if it didn't have this black base. I wish that the rock was just the base and this black base wasn't attached to it at all. I think that would just look better. I don't know why they did it like this, but regardless, it is a stunning figure. Love, love, love her. Amazing, amazing technical work on this figure. Next up, we have the Kotobukiya Asuka. So this one is the only 1/6 in this challenge. And she is fantastic. I love this figure. I've always loved this figure. This was my first Asuka. And yeah, I think from a technical standpoint, sculpt is fantastic. Pose is fantastic. I love the base. Love the base. How it's her unit 2 and how she just like sits on it, I think is so cool. I love that she doesn't actually have a base other than this. I just think she looks amazing on a shelf. She really does look like a statue. I don't know. Love the big scale. The paint job on her is quite well done. I do wish her plug suit was a little bit more glossy. Like I feel like the other plug suit Asukas that I'm reviewing this video have glossier plug suits than hers. But the paint job is quite clean, quite nice. Just a really solid figure all around. I will say though, her helmet that she holds in her hand just kind of like hovers and rests on her leg, and it's always falling off. If I even breathe near this figure, the helmet falls out of her hand, which is super, super annoying. So a few points off there, because other than that, she's pretty easy to assemble and really nice, but I hate that her helmet is always falling out of her hand. She does have glossy eyes, which I love, or I guess a glossy eye, because the other one's covered by an eye patch. So yeah, I do really like her. Next up, we have a classic, the Alter Asuka jersey version. It's a little bit dusty. I should have dusted these. Obviously, it's Alter, so the sculpt and paint job are fantastic. This sculptor is the same as this one, so Nobuta sculpted both of these figures. And I think you can really tell, just really high quality sculpt on both of them. I love that this figure comes with multiple display options, so you can display Asuka with her hair, like with her hat off and both her hands in her pockets, or with her hat on and her hand holding it. I'll try and dig up some B-roll of her in her other pose. I think I have some, but I don't know where her box is. I think her box is in storage and her box has her other parts in it because I never display her any other way. So I don't know if I'll be able to film like extra B-roll of those parts, but you'll get this B-roll at least. But I do love that she comes with swappable parts. I think she's the only figure in this video that has any kind of like changeable part. And Alter integrated those swaps very well. You can't even tell at all that she can be rearranged. The one downside of this figure though is I hate her base. It doesn't look too bad, like it's boring, but it's not that bad. The thing that I hate the most about it is she doesn't stay on her base. Like she just wants to lean and fall off it. Like the plastic foot pegs are not doing enough on this figure, and she's very like lean back, so she's very heavy that way, and it's not good. I do not like how she attaches to the base and she's always leaning back, and it's really, really annoying. Next up, we have the Union Creative Asuka, and it's a little bit of a cheat, this one, because obviously it's a dual figure with Rei, but I really wanted to include this one because I love this figure, and it is a really good Asuka, so I thought I would include it in this competition. So this figure, I love the sculpt on. I think it's fantastic. Both her and Rei look really good, but I'm gonna ignore Rei for the purpose of this competition and just talk about Asuka. She's just really solid, like nice sculpt, nice body, proportionate. She looks really good sitting on the plug. The paint job is pretty good. I would say that she could use a little bit more shading on her plug suit, but it is nice and glossy and cleanly painted. Her hair looks really good. She doesn't have a lot of strands sculpted, but also it's kind of blocked by the chair. But where she does have sculpting, there is some nice shading and just overall a pretty solid job. I really, really like her face. It's very cute, very anime accurate, I feel. So I do really, really like this. And obviously her base is insane. Like this base is like almost cheating, I feel like, because it's so cool. So they get a lot of points there. Oh, also assembly was super easy with this figure. It's just this like piece that holds it up. And that's it. So 10 out of 10, easy assembly. And the last figure is this beautiful girl. It is the Hobby Max Radio Ava Asuka. This is volume 2. She is beautiful, gorgeous sculpt. I love how they even like sculpted the furry jacket. Like that's hard to capture in plastic form, but I think they did a really, really nice job. All of the wrinkles like on her pants and like all of the detail in her running shoes is just crazy. She's quite big and heavy for I think she's a 1/7 scale. Love her hair, it's very dynamic. Her pose is really dynamic. The sculpt is just perfection. And her eyes are glossy, so that is a perk as well. Absolutely love this figure. I think the use of paint on it is perfect. Everything is painted so cleanly, like the shoes are so detailed and they're painted insanely perfectly. Like even the aglets on the bows of her shoes are painted red and it's like so clean and perfect. The glossiness of the bag versus kind of the more matteness of the rest of her outfit is also just fantastic. Like this is such a well done figure. She is gorgeous. I love her. As for the base, I think it's really, really gorgeous. The Alter base looks very similar, but it's like a cheap, thin plastic, whereas this base is like a nice, thick acrylic, and I think it just looks so much more expensive and nice on a shelf. My only gripe is the bottom is painted gray, and so if you like run this over like a crumb or a piece of dust or anything, it can get the bottom scratched, and you'll see it from the top. It like scratches off the paint underneath, and then you can see it from the top through the acrylic base. So that is a bit annoying, and you have to really baby the bases on these ones, but I think they just look so good, like love. So for this category in technical skills, I have to give third place to the Alter Asuka because while I feel like the figure herself is perfection, the base really draws back from it. Second place goes to this stunning Hobby Max figure. She's just so beautiful, like how can I not? And first place goes to Revlove for the unbelievable sculpt, paint job, base, whole package. It's just a an amazing figure. Okay, moving on to category 2, which is likeness. So we're gonna start again with the Myethos Asuka figure. So in the likeness category, it's a lot more of just like my opinion. But in my opinion, this Asuka does not really look like Asuka. Like, I think she's a gorgeous figure, but like, nothing about her really screams Asuka to me other than kind of the hair. Like, the vibe isn't very Asuka. She's very docile and soft, and I don't think Asuka is docile and soft. I feel like she's a lot more like fiery and in your face, you know? I don't know if she would wear a dress like this either. Maybe she would. I don't know. Obviously the art style is not based on any kind of actual official Evangelion stuff. It's based on an Ask illustration, which I love Ask and I love Ask's illustrations, but it is not a canon source for this figure. Additionally, this outfit is not canon at all. She never wears an outfit like this. I don't know. The base doesn't really fit the vibe of Eva. I think this is probably gonna get the lowest score for likeness, even though it's a stunning figure. I just think it's a stunning figure. It's not a stunning Asuka figure, you know? For the Revlove Asuka, obviously she is quite like Asuka. She's wearing a Plugsuit. I will take some points off because it's the white Plugsuit, and I think her red Plugsuit is just much more iconic than the white. But the white is canon. I think the pose is very Asuka. She looks determined. She looks, I don't know, just badass. I feel like Asuka often does the like hair flip too, so I feel like her flipping her hair as she kind of looks out on the world that she needs to save is just, it's very Asuka. I think the vibe of this figure is very Evangelion. I don't think it's like the original, it's more like the rebuild. I mean, it is from the rebuilds, but it's definitely giving rebuild vibes, but I think it's true to Asuka and true to her character, so I think the likeness on this figure is quite good. The Kotobukiya Asuka gets points because she's in a red Plugsuit, yay! Pretty iconic. It's not the Neon Genesis Plugsuit, but it's pretty close. She does have the eye patch too, so like, I don't know, I'm just biased. I prefer like the original, so I'm a little bit biased against it, but I do feel like the pose in this figure, the determination again, is really good. I think Asuka is often sexualized in Eva, and I think it's a plot device more than it is just thirsty animators, although that's part of it. And I think Asuka tries to be a lot more mature than she really is, and I think that this figure captures that vibe really, really well. I don't know, I really like this figure. I think it's very Asuka. Love the sculpt and everything too, so I think the vibe is really good. I also love that the base is a rock that looks like Unit 2. This is the only figure that incorporates kind of like the actual like Eva robot, so that's bonus points there as well. For Alter Asuka, again, it is a canon outfit, a pretty iconic one too from the rebuild series, so she gets points there. I think the pose is super Asuka. I think this pose is the most Asuka vibes out of all the figures in this. Just the determination, the kind of, I don't know. I feel like at this point she's quite disillusioned, so I feel like it just, the vibe is so right with this figure, I feel. And I feel like that's why she's such an iconic anime figure and why so many people want her, is she's just such a great Asuka. She's just so good. The Union Creative one gets a lot of points for me too, because it is the only Neon Genesis outfit Asuka in this video, and Neon Genesis is my favorite, like the original show. It's just like, you get bonus points there. Love the inclusion of the plug that she's sitting on. I feel like it's very canon. The only thing is I feel like her pose is not super Asuka. It's very cutesy. I don't know, like I guess she would do that pose, maybe? I don't know. And also she wouldn't be so buddy-buddy with Rei. Like for real, she would never pose like this beside Rei, in my opinion. But this is actually from a canon illustration from the manga, so like, I guess I'm wrong. But I feel like the other Asukas just fit the Asuka vibe more than this one does, you know? And finally, we have the Hobby Max Asuka. For likeness, I think she's very Asuka core. Her vibe is very Asuka, pose, everything, very Asuka. Obviously, the outfit is not canon, and it's like literally an ad for Fila. But I do really think that the vibe of this is something that Asuka would vibe with. So I think she gets some good likeness points there. Yeah, and the face I love. I think the face is very Asuka, so I do really like her. So my rankings for the likeness category go to third place is Union Creative because I'm a sucker for the original outfit. Second place to the Alter Asuka. And first place to Kotobukiya for the inclusion of her Ava unit. Next category is a pretty quick one. It is the price category. For the Myethos Asuka, her price I think is a little bit high. She retailed for 24,500 yen. And she seems to resell for a bit less. You can buy the combined her and Rei for 35,000 on AmiAmi right now. I don't know. I don't think she's worth 24,000 yen. I think she's gorgeous, but I don't know. And Myethos is usually well priced, so I'm wondering if a lot of the price is just having the license. But yeah, I think she's a bit overpriced. I would pay more in the like 15,000 yen range. And when I tell you the prices of the other ones in this video, you're gonna be like, why was she the most expensive retail? You know? Next up, the Revlove Asuka. She retailed for 15,200 yen. You can now get her for sub 150 US dollars. She hasn't really gone up in price much, which shocks me because I think she is gorgeous. She's so worth that price. That is an insanely good price. Get her if you can because what a steal. Kotobukiya Asuka, I paid 8,800 yen for her. I paid $80 for her, which she released in 2019. Insane deal. She's gone up a bit on the aftermarket, but is still in the like 100 to 200 US dollar range, which I think is still a good deal for a figure of this size and quality. But man, that retail price of 8,800 yen is crazy. That is so cheap for a scale. Like, I could not imagine a 1/6 scale costing that these days. The Alter Asuka retailed for a few prices because she's been re-released twice, so she's had 3 releases total. The release I bought her at, she released for 12,800 yen. I think I paid about I think I paid 200 Canadian for her from a Canadian retailer. But her aftermarket is still so high. I regularly see her, like, I think she was on AmiAmi pre-owned for like 40,000 yen recently. It's insane that a figure owned by like 2,000 people in my figure collection that's been released 3 times is still retailing for almost 3 times her original value. Insane. And honestly, she's worth those high prices. It's a gorgeous figure, you guys. It is gorgeous. The Union Creative Asuka and Rei combined figure, so it is a combined figure, was 38,000 yen when I bought it, which is quite high. For a dual figure on a really sick base like that, I don't think is as bad, but I think it's a little bit overpriced. The figure I was surprised to see is actually quite rare now when I went to check, and I couldn't even find them secondhand anywhere other than like Solaris and stuff, but they really ranged in price, but they were in the like $400 or $500 range, which is kind of crazy. They're pretty expensive now, so I don't know if I'd recommend them for their current resale prices. I could barely recommend it for the original retail price, so yeah. And finally, the Hobby Max Asuka. This one came in a black and white version and a colored version. The colored version retailed for 18,500 yen, so a bit more expensive. But I think it is the newest out of all of these, so that's probably why. She has now almost doubled in price on the aftermarket, which is kind of crazy. But I think she's worth even like 30,000 yen. I think she's a really nice figure. Like, if you want her, you won't be disappointed if you pay aftermarket, I feel. I would feel better though in the like 200, 250 range for her. So for price, third place, I'm gonna say Alter, because obviously she retailed for a really, really, really good price for who she is. And even at the inflated aftermarket, I think she's still worth it as a figure. Even if you're like worried about it, it is like an investment. She's never tanked in value. Out of like all the figures in my collection that have been re-released, this Asuka has never changed in value. It maybe has gone down a bit, but it's never dipped below retail. So I think she's like worth the investment, I guess you could call it. And I think she's still gorgeous. Second place goes to the Kotobukiya figure because of its insane original retail price and its continued really good price. And first place obviously goes to Revlove for being just a stunning figure for a amazing price, even on the aftermarket. Now for the final category, enjoyment. So this is obviously the most subjective category. So the Myethos Asuka. I know I feel like I've been kind of roasting her this video. When it comes to enjoyment though, I think she is so beautiful and I love her. And she was actually a gift from one of my subscribers, so she has an even more special place in my heart because of that. So for enjoyment, she's pretty high up there. She also has a matching ray that is beautiful, and I'll have them both in the B-roll, so yeah, I mean, she's beautiful. Matching ray is a huge bonus. Love. And also, I would recommend these two if you really, really love Ask as an illustrator, because they are beautiful, and they are very true to Ask's illustration, I think. The Revolve Asuka, I love this figure so much. If you guys can't tell, I love her so much. The matching Mari that goes with her, so there's no matching ray really, but there is a matching Mari, and they look insanely good together. Their poses just like complement each other perfectly. I'd recommend this figure to anyone. I think her price to like just beauty ratio is amazing. Definitely recommend. She's beautiful. The Kotobukiya Asuka was one of the very first figures I ever bought, so she kind of has a sentimental place in my heart. I think she's an insane value for money, especially when I originally bought her for like $80. That's crazy. I love the design of her. I love that she doesn't have a base. It's just the rock that she sits on. She just looks sick on a shelf. There's also like a matching Mari, a matching Ray. I own the Ray. There's a Shinji, I think, a Kaworu. So there's like a lot of figures that go with it too, which I love. I love when you can get the whole gang. So lots of bonuses with her. I think she's gorgeous. I definitely think she's worth it. I'd recommend this Asuka to anybody, especially people that love 1/6 scales, because she is huge. The Alter Asuka was also one of the very first figures I ever bought, like period, not just first like Asuka, but just like first in general. So she brings me a lot of joy in that sense. I love this figure. I think she's beautiful, and I honestly think she is the most iconic anime figure of all time. When you see people's wish lists, she is at the top of like most wished. So many people own her. So many people love her. She's just an amazing, amazing, amazing figure. I mean, there's a reason it's been re-released twice, and it still has such demand. Insane figure. I love her so much. She is just perfection. Yeah, she's just an icon. She's a legend. Super, super enjoy owning this figure. The Union Creative Asuka is such a cool design. I love them so much. I love duo figures where it's like two girls on one base and everything. Not sure if they're worth the retail price, but they do have fantastic presence on an Ava shelf. Like, if you have all of the other figures around them and then them in the middle, it just looks so, so sick. So definitely recommend in that sense. And finally, we have the Hobby Max Asuka. I love the Radio Ava line. I think it is one of the best lines of figures ever. Maybe it is the best line of figures ever. I love streetwear figures. I love Evangelion. I love these figures. The Radio Ava Ray that I have with her, I actually have the Volume 1 Ray. This is the Volume 2 Asuka, but I display them together. And that Ray is one of my favorite figures. And I love that you can just get the whole gang in all these different outfits. And you can buy the clothes they're wearing, which is so cool. So yeah, huge enjoyment of these figures. I love her so much. And I love this whole set. Yeah, obsessed. I love her. I think without all the rankings in this video, this figure is probably my favorite Asuka that I own. Just out of pure like vibes and just enjoyment for the Radio Ava line. So the rankings for the final category are 3rd place to Revolve, 2nd to Alter, and 1st to Hobby Max. Alright guys, it is time to tally up the points and decide our winners! So I'm gonna go from last place to 1st place. Place your bets now in the comments. Let me know. YouTube has a new feature where like when you're watching a video, it'll pop up with like you'll see the comments will change as you watch the video, and it'll be popping up with comments that were made at like people typed them out and submitted them at different points in the video. So if you put your bets in now, they'll all pop up in the comments like below this video. So that's kind of cool. In last place, even though I do love this figure, is the Myethos Asuka. She's beautiful, but I think when compared against all the other ones in this video, it's kind of it's a tough competition, okay? In 5th place is one that I love, but just it didn't come out on top in like any categories really, and it is the Union Creative Asuka. I love this Asuka and Ray combined figure, but it is definitely not the best out of all the ones here today. We have a tie for 3rd place, so we have no 4th place. We have a tie for 3rd place. The tie is between the Hobby Max Asuka, my personal fave, and the Kotobukiya Asuka. These two are just such amazing figures. I understand why it was a tie. They kind of were good in different ways, right? Like this one's obviously not gonna win for likeness, but she is very enjoyable and very well made. So we are tied for third. Okay guys, we have 2 left, both sculpted by the same sculptor, made by different companies. We have the Alter Asuka, most iconic figure of all time, and the Revlove Asuka. Who do you think will win? And the winner is Revlove Asuka. It was a tight race. The Revlove Asuka won by 1 point over the Alter Asuka. And I think that 1 point is really just made up by the fact that the base on the Alter Asuka freaking sucks, and this base is just so much better than it. Because I think the figures themselves are very, very close in like how good they are, but the bases just make such a huge difference to me. And I think that this one is just the best one. I think if you're gonna get an Asuka and you want really good value for money, this is what you should get. Her aftermarket price hasn't gone up much. She's just perfect. I love her with the Mari figure that goes with her. She is a fantastic figure, and honestly, I think deserves to win this competition. Revlove, I love you. Revlove, you are amazing. You make amazing figures. And I think she is a very worthy winner. Did it surprise you guys? I feel like a lot of people would have assumed that the Alter one would win, but this base, it's atrocious. It's ugly, and she doesn't stay on it. Like, I'm sorry, you guys, that base ruins it. She cannot win first because of the base. It's tragic, I know. All right, I hope you guys had as much fun as I did ranking these beautiful Asuka figures by different manufacturers. I just love talking about manufacturers because I think they all have very different strengths and weaknesses, and it's just really fun to compare and contrast them. And I hope that it helps you guys all decide if you're trying to buy a figure. I know a lot of people like to buy like one figure of their characters that they like, so I feel like these videos might serve as a nice way to compare the figures that are out there, because God knows I own a lot of the figures out there, so I hope this is like a good resource to people that are trying to consider like which Asuka figure to pick up, or which Chica, if you watched my Chica Battle of the Manufacturers. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you agree with my choice for the top Asuka figure. I had so much fun making this video. I hope you guys had fun watching it. Next installment of this series is going to be Battle of the Manufacturers Holo Edition. That is going to be a behemoth of a video because Holo is the character I own the most figures of in my collection, maybe second only to Miku. I could do a Miku version of this as well, but that would be kind of crazy. You know who wasn't represented in this video is Good Smile Company. I don't own a single Good Smile Asuka figure. That's kind of crazy. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I really, really enjoyed making it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, comment, or even subscribing. And if you want to support Gwyn Collects even more, you can also subscribe to my Patreon at patreon.com/Gwyn Collects, which is linked in the description below. A huge thank you to all of my patrons over on Patreon, and an even bigger thank you to all of my Chica tier patrons, Ryomi, Remember June, Melindy Lou, Castle, and Chance. Thank you all so much for your support. As always, I hope you all have a very, very wonderful day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!